can tell, like, my genre hopping is absolutely crazy. Like, going in order, just saying all this out loud is just like, my genre hopping is out of control. It's absolutely out of control. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are just simply going to be talking about all the books I've read this year, and yeah, I'm not gonna even waste your time anymore, so let's just get into the first book I read this year. I'm gonna try and go in order. Some of these I have physically, some of these I don't. But I remember the first book I read this year was actually The Yellow Wife. I know, crazy way to start off the year. crazy way to start off the year. This book is about Phoebe. She was raised on a plantation, but she's been raised pretty sheltered. Oh wait, this is a historical fiction, by the way. It was set in, I don't remember what year, but this is during, oh, there it is. Bell Plantation, Charles City, Virginia, 1850. This taught me a lot about what was going on during slavery times. But back to the book description. We're following Phoebe, like she's raised on a plantation, 1850 in Virginia, and her mother has sheltered her a lot from the things that are going on. It's like she knows about it, but I feel like she hadn't really experienced it until she is put in a situation where she has to go and live on the Devil's Half Anchor. That's what it's called, which is a jail in Richmond, Virginia, which is where slavery is very, yes. This is a very heavy book. This is a very intense book. It's not going to be for everybody, but I personally enjoyed it, and I learned a lot about what was going on during these times. And I like learning about what was going on in these times because I feel like one of the reasons I fell in love with historical fiction is because I got to learn things about history that I feel like just aren't taught in school. And maybe it's for a good reason. Maybe they're just trying, like, we're certain ages and they don't want to tell us certain things. But I feel like now I'm 25 years old. I want to know everything that was going on. And this, like, I learned a lot. And there's a lot of things in this book that I'll never forget. The scenes. Yeah, please look up the content warnings and all the things before you go into this. So yes. The second book I read this year was called Unknown Threat by Lynn Blackburn. This is I'm pretty sure she's a Christian author and like kind of like the mystery. Is that what this genre is called? I'm gonna say mystery. Luke is in the Secret Service and Faith is in the FBI. And Luke and the Secret Service they just experience like a lot of loss, and basically Faith is hired to figure out who is behind all these killings, who's doing all these things. And of course, Luke and Faith do have a past. They do know each other. There is a little romance going on. Oh, romantic suspense. That's what this is called. I don't know why I could not think of that word. This is my first like Christian romantic suspense. I don't remember a lot about the book and how I really felt when I was reading it, but I don't remember anything I didn't particularly like. So, and I'm pretty sure I gave this like a 4 stars. Maybe going back and reading it, it might be a little lower, but I do think it was a solid first read for me getting into this genre, if that makes sense. I don't remember a lot of faith elements though. It's just like hard, like sometimes when something is presented to you as, oh, this is Christian romantic suspense, this is Christian da, da, da. So like obviously in the back of my head I'm gonna like be like, oh, there's gonna be some faith stuff in this, there's gonna be some, and I remember them talking about it like here and there, but I think they both had big struggles with it, and I feel like we could have explored that more, besides there just being like some resolve at the end, of course. But yeah, it's a solid book and I would recommend it. So it's my first Lynn Blackburn book, and I do think I should, this is a series, so I do think I should like continue the series. And then the next book I read was The Bodyguard by Catherine Sender. Love this book, 4.5 stars. As you can tell, like my genre hopping is absolutely crazy. Like going in order, just saying all this out loud is just like, my genre hopping is out of control. It's absolutely out of control. But all these books are clean though. It's about Hannah and Jack. Hannah is actually the bodyguard. She is small and mighty. And this book was actually really funny. Jack's like this celebrity, and I usually don't like celebrity and like, I guess, normal person, like when it comes to like romances. I usually don't like them, but I actually did enjoy this one, and I enjoyed the comedy aspects of this. And basically we have a fake dating trope. They have to start dating, so his family like doesn't know that he has a bodyguard because he doesn't want his family to worry about him and all this jazz. And we of course follow them on their fake dating journey, and we learn about them as individuals as well, and Hannah, you know, all those things. And like I said, I just really enjoy the journey. When it comes to romance books, we all know the ending, but what makes a good romance book for me is really great characters and a great journey. Like if I can really enjoy the journey of the two people getting together and enjoy them as individuals and they have character development, that's what I call like a 5-star. This was quite a 5-star, but it was close. So I definitely recommend this book, and it was clean, it was cute, it was funny. So yeah. Then the next book I read this year is Just Friends by Haley Pham. This was a 5-star read for me personally. Like I said before, there's a lot of like discourse around this book, and there's a lot of stuff going on, but I just think I don't pay attention to what's going around me. I pay attention to how I felt reading a book and my experience reading a book. And this is a 5-star read for me. And what I just told you guys earlier, what makes a 5-star romance for me, this had all of that for me. I devoured this book in like a day and a half. And I think this is super impressive for being someone's first book. I feel like if I had a first book, it would be absolutely atrocious. It's about Blair and Declan, and they grew up together and eventually grew apart. And Blair is back in town because her aunt, I think yes, her great aunt Lottie is having health issues, so she has to come back home and she has to deal with that. And of course we all know who's back home. Declan's back home, and we just really just go on the journey of them seeing each other again and learning what happened between them. Yeah, I really enjoyed Blair as a person. Like I really liked Blair. Like I loved Blair. And I loved how, like I said, there are aspects of grief in this, and I really just related so heavily to everything she was saying and everything that was going on. And I really enjoyed the setting of this. This is like, if you haven't read this yet, like this would be great to read. Like now that it's spring, it's about to be summer, this is perfect setting. This has such a cute setting. It had all the cute vibes, and I really enjoyed I thought the artwork in the book was absolutely so cute. And literally one of my favorite quotes from this book is literally on the first page. It says, the fear part only comes when it's love. The kind of love that buries so deep it transforms you. If you lose it, it feels like losing a part of yourself too. And this is dual timeline, so there's a lot of like back and forth between like the two different timelines. If you don't like that, then you probably won't like this book. Just saying, like, but it's not a lot of dual timelines, if that makes sense. Like it stops, I feel like it stopped like midway through the book. We stopped. I don't know, I can't remember if that's correct or not. But I think for being high schoolers, in the flashbacks, I think they were really mature. I guess you could say that is like, maybe a little flaw in the book if I had to find one. But yeah, I'm not gonna yap much about this book anymore. That's all I have to say about Just Friends by Haley Pham. Now I get to talk about my favorite series of the year, my favorite books of the year so far. Yeah, these are my favorite books I've read this year. Definitely. Oh, definitely. And we do have the Daughter of the Pirate King and Daughter of the Siren Queen. Daughter of the Siren Queen was 5 stars for me. Daughter of the Pirate King was 4.5 stars for me. I always love when the second book is better than the first book. I love when the series gets continually better, and instead of like the opposite, and like the first book is like the best book. But yes, this is a fantasy. This is a clean pirate themed fantasy, and we are following Alosa, who is the daughter of the Pirate King. And basically the plot of the first book is she is pretending, or basically she's letting, let me say this right. Okay, so basically Alosa gets sent on this mission by her father to go and find this map on this, she needs to find this map, and it's on this ruthless pirate cruise ship. And so she's basically pretending to get kidnapped, like she's letting them capture her, like, because she's the daughter of the Pirate King. So obviously they try to kidnap her. She sets like this whole thing up basically in the beginning. You're gonna see like to get kidnapped so she can get on the ship and search for this map. And the whole book just follows that whole journey of her being with this ruthless pirate crew. And you know, the only person really getting her way is Raiden, who is the love interest in the book. I absolutely just loved banter in this book. I loved Alosa in the book. She's hilarious. I grew to love even some of the pirates on the ship. And this actually made me realize, like, I feel like I really like pirate. Like, I like pirate fantasy. Like, I really do like pirate fantasy. This was clean. There's no, like, smut or anything. There is, like, kissing and all that stuff, blah, blah, blah. But nothing open door, if that makes sense. Yes, and I cannot remember if this is defined as YA or not. She is 17. Yes, she's 17, so, but yes. If you're looking for a good fantasy to read, please pick up these books. This is like an older series. Or whatever, but who cares? If you haven't read it, now's the time to read it. Because I was late too, and that's okay. So yeah, these are definitely, I would define as my favorite books of the year, like, definitely. So yeah, this book was really, really good, but this book took it to an entire different level. And me personally, this made me fall in love with Alosa and her character even more. And this is where the drama, this book is a drama. You know what I'm saying? But yeah. Even talking about this makes me want to go reread the series. And the next book I read was the second book in the Natural series, Killer Instinct. And I believe I also gave this 4 stars, I think. If you haven't read the Naturals, you really need to read the Naturals. The only way I ever talk about the Naturals is I really just say it's a YA, young adult, criminal minds type book. It's a group of special, like, teens who have these special abilities, and they've been put in like this place to use all their abilities to solve and find serial killers. And it's pretty fun. There's even aspects of romance, little love triangle, and there's plenty of characters for you to fall in love with. I think I showed it, but there's plenty of characters for you to fall in love with. I feel like I found myself predicting a lot in this one more than the first one. So that's why it was more of like a 4-star. If you haven't started reading the Naturals, you definitely need to read the Naturals, because this is like a staple at this point. Then we have probably this is my favorite Christian fiction I've read this year. So it's definitely like right behind that fantasy series, and it is Love and a Little White Lie by Timmy L. Gray. I love talking about this book. I love recommending this book. This is like my peak Christian fiction. Like, when people say Christian fiction is cringy, I'm like, girl, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? Or I just pick a fancy favorite book. But like this, I love this. Okay, main character, January. Basically, January is not a Christian, but January starts working at this church. That alone already intrigued me. When I was hearing about this book, I was like, ooh, interesting. So we have a non-Christian working at a Christian church. I'm pretty sure she may even define herself as agnostic, I think. I don't know if that was mentioned, but I'm pretty sure that's what she defines herself as. She doesn't really believe in anything. So while she's working at this church, she meets this guitarist guy who's really cute. He's in the worship band and all this stuff. And that happens, and I just feel like she starts living a double life in a way. And she hasn't necessarily told anybody at the church that she's not Christian. And she feels like everybody's probably just like assuming she's Christian because she works at church. But you'll find out more about that in the story. And she's also dating this guy, or starts pursuing this guy or whatever. And that's a whole thing in itself. And then I just believe you should go into this blindly. Like, the more I talk about it, the more I feel like I'm gonna like reveal stuff. So I'm actually gonna be quiet. But you should definitely pick up this book if the just plot and storyline of this book is intriguing you, I feel like you should pick this up. The main thing I loved about this book was there was a faith lesson that could be pulled from all the characters in like probably like the 3, 4, just any of the characters, even not even necessarily main characters. Just there's so many faith lessons to be pulled from this book, and there's so much to learn from these characters. And I feel like this is probably the most realist, like real characters. Like these characters were written so real to me, and that's why I really enjoyed this book. This is a 5-star book to me. Yes, and I am continuing this series, so yes, please go read this book. Then the next book I read was Picking Daisies on Sundays. This book was long awaited. I should have picked up this book and read it, and it took forever for me to pick it up, but I actually ended up loving this cute romance. Fake dating romance books are just, like I've said before, they're so silly, goofy to me. Just the idea of fake dating, like, it's like so funny. And I have to be in a really silly, goofy mood to read books like this. And I was, and that's why, I don't remember what I rated this book, but I'll put it on the screen. I'm pretty sure it was around the 4-star, 4.5-star range. I really enjoyed the poeticness of this book. In this book, I thought it's Daisy and Levi, and it's another one of those situations where Daisy and Levi used to know each other and they were the best of friends, and one was in love with one and one was not. But then 4 years later, she runs into him, and basically they get like, Levi puts her in a situation where they have to start fake dating, and we basically see everything that happened between them and how she feels about him now. The only critique I literally have for this book is I wish we had chapters with Levi's POV. I would have loved to have had chapters with Levi's POV. That would have made this book personally 10 times better, because in the beginning I was very kind of sketchy of him because of the way she was talking about him, but she was just talking about him because of like everything that happened, which you'll understand. But it's just, I would have loved to see his POV. I would have loved to see Levi's POV. But this is a solid, very cute romance. And at every chapter, there's like these like quotes from something that you'll figure out eventually, which I also thought was like the best part of the book, by the way. Like, for example, like one of them says, "I feel lucky to have had you, but dismayed to know what life is like without you." That's like just an example of like what is written under the chapters, and I think it was so cute. This book was very like romantic to me. I love this book because it was so just romantic. So yeah, definitely go pick this one up. And I feel like I sound like repetitive, but none of these books have spice in it. But I feel like I have to say it just in case you skipping around the video. But why are you skipping around the video? But anyway, yeah, go pick up this book. Yeah, so all the next 3 books I read on Kindle Unlimited, because I just really wanted to get more books, like read more books, and like my Kindle on my phone is just so convenient. It really is, even though I have a huge gigantic physical TBR that we're not even going to talk about right now. But reading is reading, okay? So we have Chess Not Checkers, we have The Golden Goal, and That Fine Line. That's 2 Anna Conwell books. The Golden Goal was kind of like a reread. I had already read that book before, so I'm not really gonna talk about that book because that was like a reread for me. But it's a solid 4-star. Enemies to Lovers. If you haven't read an Anna Conwell book, you need to go read an Anna Conwell romance because they're so cute. Chestnut Checkers. It was Jasmine and Shepherd, and they have like this cute little relationship where they like, it started based off of like chess. She's a cheerleader, he's a football player, but they like have this common like interest in chess, and that's how they really like meet each other. But then obviously she's a cheerleader, he's a football player. So, but this was one of those books where the characters had lots of depth to me, and there's a lot of things that Jasmine had to learn, and a lot of things that why did I just forget his name? Shepherd had to learn, and I really enjoyed that aspect of reading and watching them grow as individuals. Because Shepherd is like living in his brother's shadow, and Jasmine is like trying to be the best at everything because to make up for the people who have done so much for her. And it's a really, really good it's a really good book. Just thinking back, I'm like, this is a really good romance. It really was, actually. So yes, go read Chestnut Checkers. And That Fine Line was also another great romance, but I was craving like a country like themed romance, so that's how I ended up finding this book. First of all, I absolutely love the name of this book. I feel like there's literally a line in the book where it's just like there's a fine line between like love and hate, you know. And I was like, oh, that fine line. Like, that's why this book is called That Fine Line. But it's basically like a country theme, enemies to lovers. It's called like Pride and Pranks. This book was so fun. Kelsey and Cade have known each other since they were little, and they've been like mortal enemies. You'll get to find out how that even began, and it's so hilarious. And that's how it started. And they just like pranked each other like all throughout high school. But then Kelsey, she moved away and she went to college and became like this totally different person. And Kelsey is now engaged and she's coming back home for the summer. And yes, so we get to follow this journey of Kelsey coming back home, and basically just she confronts like who she is, who she became in college, and who she was before she even went out to college. And she really just has to figure out who she is and what life she wants. I absolutely hated her fiance. I absolutely hated him. I'm not even gonna like sugarcoat it. He was like really the worst. She did a really great job of writing a terrible fiance. But Cade, we love Cade. And yeah, I absolutely love this book. I absolutely devoured this book, and it's a great clean and contemporary romance, but it's also something I really enjoyed her journey of her finding herself and what is home, and like you getting to decide who you want to be and all this stuff. And it was just really good. It was really good. I also read Double or Nothing, which is the second book in that Pride and Prank series, which it ends up following Kelsey's brother and Kelsey's best friend. So it's brother's best friend. Can't go wrong with that. It's also just as cute and fun, and yes, you should read both books. So, and then the most recent book I read is When the Day Comes by Gabrielle Meyer. Yes, I finally finished this book. And I actually gave a review of this in the vlog I'm filming right now, so you're probably going to end up hearing about this twice. Because you're probably going to see this before the vlog, so it's alright though. If you don't know what this is a Christian historical fiction book. Libby, starring Libby, and she's basically a time crosser, and she's living in two different timelines, 1774 and 1914. And she basically has to go on this journey of choosing which life she wants to choose by her 21st birthday, which is coming up basically in a couple months in this book. You're gonna hear about that in the book. Things I didn't like about the book: maybe I don't like hearing about war as much as I thought I did, because like the reason I kept picking up and putting this book down was because of all the war stuff. So maybe I'm not into historical fiction as much as I thought I would be, or maybe it's just like a certain type of historical fiction that I'm into. I don't know. That's just something I learned about myself through this book. I just thought this book was a really slow start, but it did have a really strong finish, and I love the plot twist. I did not guess it. It was great, and I really enjoyed that part, and which is why I literally bought the second book literally yesterday, and I am going to be continuing the series. That was really the only downside for me. I did get bored during a lot of this book, if I'm just being completely honest. I got bored a lot during this book. But like I said, I will be continuing the series. The plot twist in this book was fabulous, and the faith aspect in this book was fabulous. So that is why I highly recommend this book to any Christian. And come on, the concept is amazing. Time crosser, like what? We're talking about time crossers? I feel like that's just such a cool concept. Like, why would you not want to read a book where someone gets to live in like two different timelines, and like you have to worry about not doing something in one place, and there's one life that you really like, and it's worth, like, especially the hype around it, it is worth reading. And the big faith lesson that was in this is just like God's plan, and how his plan is the best plan, and it'll prevail regardless of what we want. And the choices we make, God gives us what's best for us. and what you think is gonna happen is not what happens all the time. And sometimes God gives you things, you know, you never thought you'd have. And that's the beautiful thing about our Lord and Savior. He's always giving us things that we don't deserve, and we think that is completely lost, but he redeems everything, and he has a plan, and it is a good plan. And if you need the reminder today that God has a plan and it's a good plan, this is your reminder for that. So yeah, like I said, I don't want to think you like this is a bad review of this book and I hated this book or something. No, it was just a little slow for me. But am I gonna continue the series? Yes. So exactly. Oh my gosh, that's probably like the most I've talked in a video like ever. That's like my first little wrap up. Yes, I hope you pick up one of these books and it helps you go closer to the Lord, or it just makes you laugh and smile and giggle. I recommend every single book in this video. There's not a book in this video that I don't think you shouldn't read. Like I said, always look at content warnings, always be precautious of what you like and what you don't like. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you for 2,000 subscribers. Just wanted to say thank you for that. And yeah, I will see you guys in the next video very, very soon.